Good morning, guys. I know that these next couple weeks are going to be a little bit different and a little weird. Obviously, you can hear my voice, but I'm not in front of you teaching or to better explain things. But I'm going to try my best. Going to go through the lesson with you. If at any point you feel like you need to pause the video because you need to write something down longer or you're not sure and don't quite understand, feel free to go back in the lesson and watch. That's the nice capability of videos as opposed to live. If you didn't hear it the first time, you can always go back and then rewatch it. So today's lesson is 8.4 special products. We are simplifying products of binomials that involve the square of a sum or difference and simplify the product of a sum and a difference. So this is the last section in our unit. Obviously, we won't have a test because that we're off, but when we get back, we'll get to it. The nice thing about this lesson is it provides a lot of shortcuts. If at any time, though, you feel like, oh man, I don't know the shortcut and can't remember it, just remember, what does an exponent want you to do? So like in example A here, the exponent of 2 wants you to multiply what's inside of the parentheses by itself 2 times. So 3x plus 5 multiplied with 3x plus 5. So you can always use the area box method. You can use the double distributive property, and in this case, you can even use FOIL if you need to. So take 3x, multiply with 3x, then 3x with 5, then 5 with 3x, and 5 with 5. But today I'm going to show you a little shortcut that will hopefully speed up the process for you. So if you would look at the key concept, the square of a sum, what they're saying is that if you have something that is raised to a power, like a product, so something like x plus 4 quantity squared, remember that is just x plus 4 times x plus 4. And if we were to use the double distributive property, I'm going to take x and I'm going to distribute it with x. So x times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Then I'm going to take 4 and do the same thing. 4 times 4x, 4 times x is 4x, and 4 times 4 is 16. If you notice, you have here in the middle, when you go to combine like terms, you have 2 of the 4x's. So 2 times 4x is 8x. And that's what they're kind of trying to explain to you here, is that you're just going to take your first term, multiply it with your last term, and then you're going to end up doubling it. So if I multiplied here x times 4, I get 4x, and then if I double it, I get 8x. So shortcut, in example 1a, how I like to set these problems up is I take my parentheses, I square it, I add it with, and I'm using addition because of the plus sign here, 2, which is part of the shortcut, and then parentheses. In these parentheses, you're going to want to leave yourself a little bit of space because you are going to end up performing multiplication. 2 things are going to go in that parentheses, and then plus parentheses here at the end. Now, the first 2 spots of your parentheses, this 3x is going to go in this first spot and that second spot. What goes in the last 2 spots is the 5. So 5 here and 5 here. And now I want to simplify. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. If I double that, that would be 30x. And then 5 times 5 is 25. So my solution is 9x squared plus 30x plus 25. So again in B, parentheses squared, plus 2 parentheses, leave yourself some space, plus parentheses squared. So what goes in the first set of parentheses is going to be 8c and 8c here. And then in the second spot, we have 3d and 3d. And now we just want to simplify. 8c times 8c is 64c squared. 8 times 3 is 24. If I double that, I get to 48. There is a c and a d, so the middle term gets both c and d. And then here at the end, 3d times 3d is 9d squared. So 64c squared plus 48CD plus 9D squared. Okay. One more together. So again, how we set it up, parentheses squared plus 2 parentheses, don't forget to leave yourself some space because you're performing multiplication, plus parentheses squared. So in the first part, 7z and 7z. In the second part, we have 2 and 2. So 7z times 7z is 49z squared. 7z times 2 is 14z. If I double that, that becomes 28z. And then here at the end, 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pause the video, try the D, E, and F on your own when you think you have a solution, unpause it, and then check your solutions compared to mine. Okay. So for D, you should have gotten a squared plus 20a plus 10. For E, you should have gotten 49x squared plus 84x plus 36. And for F, you should have gotten 4b squared plus 12bc plus 9c squared. Okay. In example number 2, okay, the only difference between example 1 and example 2 is now we are introducing a minus symbol here. So process is the same. So I'm going to have parentheses squared. Instead, now I'm going to have minus, because of this minus symbol, 2 parentheses, leave yourself some space, multiplication in the middle. This does not change here, it's still addition, so plus parentheses squared. In my first part, first two parts, I have 2x going into the parentheses. In my second part, I am not paying attention to the negative sign, so it's just 5y and just 5y. And now I want to simplify. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 5y, 2 times 5 is 10, so that's 10xy. Double it, but make it negative, so that'd be negative 20xy. And then at the end here, 5y times 5y would be plus 25y squared. So 4x squared minus 20xy plus 25y squared. Looking at B, same process, parentheses squared minus 2 parentheses, leave yourself some space, plus parentheses squared. So I have 6p and 6p, and then 1 and 1, and now we simplify. 6p times 6p is 36p squared. 6p times 1 is 6p, times negative 2 is negative 12p, and then 1 times 1 is 1. So my final answer here is 36p squared minus 12p plus 1. All right, flip over. Here we have a minus 2b quantity squared. So parentheses squared minus 2 parentheses, leave yourself some space, plus parentheses squared. In the first parts, I have a and a. In the second part, I have 2b and 2b. So a times a is a squared. A times 2b is 2ab. 2ab times negative 2 is negative 4ab. And then at the end, I have 2b times 2b, which is 4b squared. So a squared minus 4ab plus 4b squared. All right, so again, pause the video, try D, E, and F on your own. When you think you have a solution, unpause it, check yours compared to mine. For D, you should have gotten 9c squared minus 24c plus 16. For E, you should have gotten 64 minus 16m plus m squared. And for F, you should have gotten 64h squared minus 64hn plus 16n squared. All right, our third and final example is the product of a sum and a difference. This works out really, really, really nice as long as you have that scenario. Okay, so your first two terms have to be the exact same. So 2x squared is the same as 2x squared. Okay, and your second two terms have to be opposites. So positive 3 and negative 3. If I were to use the double distributive property here, 2x squared times 2x squared is 4x to the fourth. 2x squared times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. 3 times 2x squared is positive 6x squared. And 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Now, when you go to combine like terms here, negative 6x squared plus 6x squared ends up canceling out. And so you can see the shortcut here that when you have the first two terms the same and second two terms opposites, really all you're doing is you're multiplying the first two terms together and multiplying the last two terms together. Okay, so I did that the long way. I want to show you the shortcut in B. So in B, take 3n, multiply it with 3n. That's going to give me 9n to the, excuse me, not to the fourth, but to the second. Then take positive 2 times negative 2, which is going to give me negative 4. So my answer here is 9n squared minus 4. Okay. In C, okay, here we have 4c and 4c, negative 7d and positive 7d, so I can use the shortcut. 4c times 4c is 16c squared. And then negative 7d times positive 7d is negative 49d squared. So final answer is 16c squared minus 49d squared. I'd like you to pause the video, try D, E, and F on your own. Once you feel like you have a solution, compare yours to mine. For D, you should have gotten 81d squared minus 16. For E, you should have gotten g squared minus 16h squared. And for F, you should have gotten 9a to the 8th power, because a to the 4th and a to the 4th make a to the 8th, minus b squared. Okay, that concludes the lesson. What I would like you to do for your practice is in your homework packet, open up to 8.4 practice, and I'd like you to do the following 4 problems. Problems 1, 2, 4, and 8.